objectif principal. Est-ce qu'il y a
Hello everyone. Please feel free to talk, jump in, ask questions. I want to have it be as kind of free-flowing and easy as possible. And I was on the one last year. I don't think any of you guys were. And I think I talked so much that you asked me to do this time to moderate. But yeah, the last year that we did it, we talked about kind of getting a band, or taking a baby band, what the main things you're trying to do as a manager: getting the band signed, get to a booking agency, a record label, publishing deal, etc., etc. And now I think the basis of today is more kind of, okay, you've got a team, maybe the team's falling apart and the booking agent sucks, but the label's cool, or vice versa, or the publicist, etc., etc. So I think I'll just start by, I'm going to let everybody introduce them. I guess I'll talk about myself for a second so everybody knows who I am and where I live, because we're quite international on this panel right now. But I live here in Montreal, and I have a management company, and I manage, ironically, I manage more US acts, but I'll let these guys talk about more Canadian acts, etc. But I manage Ricky Lee Jones, who lives in California, Joseph Arthur, who lives in New York, a gentleman named Bob Schneider, who lives in Austin, Texas, and a DJ from Montreal named Grand Theft. And I have an assistant who ironically just moved to New York. And I work out of the Donald K. Donald offices, actually up the street. That's my foldable bike in the back that I wrote down here. And you can ask me questions about any of these bands, and I'll let Matt Truman, who I actually know quite well, I'll let everybody just say who they work with and where they live, and then we can kind of dive in, and I'll ask questions.
So I'm Matt Truman, nice to meet you. I started off as a technology entrepreneur. Got lucky with a company when I was like 19 years old, spent the next year sailing around the world trying to figure out what I really wanted to do with my life. Wandered into the music industry, which was arguably a mistake. Ended up working for the Donald K. Donald group as well. I ended up running that company for a couple of years. I left in, I guess, 2006 with the intention of getting out of music and going back into technology. And this band Metric, that I managed a couple acts, but I think Metric is probably the most relevant to this panel. And they were on a label called Last Gang Records, which Donald K. Donald was half partners in. We'd helped set up. And when I was leaving for a variety of circumstances or reasons, they wanted to go as well. And they asked me if I'd help them just sort of reset up this system for them, sort of re-architect, if you will, the industry relationships that they had. And it led over the course of 3 or 4 months to a decision to basically get out of all the different deals that they had and put out their record around the world with no label. And so we were totally prepared to crash and burn, but they figured they'd rather have that happen and be on their own terms rather than sign a deal with, say, Interscope, which was one of the labels that was offering a deal at the time. And we got lucky. Over, I guess, 8 weeks, we sold more records than we had in 4 years with Last Gang on the previous album, and it's just been a learning process ever since.
My name's Sebastian Cowan. I moved here from London in 2007. At that time, I was working for Mute Records as an engineer and in various recording studios. And I moved here to start a loft venue and did DIY shows and parties for a couple of years, centered around that venue. And where I really sourced a meaning out of that was for my community development. And so every time we had a show, one of the peers from our group had to play that show. And eventually, over time, a very strong scene developed around it. And I realized that running this loft venue was a really inefficient model for what I was trying to do. I used to do lots of municipal fines and cleaning up beer bottles and working with 5 other people in this giant space. It just wasn't making it happen. So at some point, I'd started up a record label at that point and decided to run with that and work with the bands that were centered around that space via the label. And as some of them started to get bigger, I began managing them, which has been, I'd probably spend more time on the management aspect of stuff than I do on the label aspect. It's just, I think it's more relevant in today's music market. But the label is called Arbutus Records, and our most prominent artist is called Grimes.
Bonjour. First, I want to apologize for my very poor English, but I will try to do my best.
Maybe you could speak in French, so I'm sorry that I'm speaking in English. Is everybody here bilingual or mainly Anglophone, or most of them? There's a couple...
Who doesn't speak French? Put up your hand.
Okay, I will try to make it in English, sorry.
Yes.
So I'm Vincent Carey. I live in France, in Lyon and Paris. I created a music festival in Lyon 10 years ago. The name is Nuit Sonore Festival. It's an electronic and indie music festival. My company is Artifarty. It's a non-profit company. I'm also the artistic advisor of La Gaieté Lyrique. It's a new place in Paris. We opened in March. And it's a place dedicated to music and digital culture. I'm very new in this management job because when we created the festival two or three years later, we decided to make some booking for different artists, mostly for the artist of a French label called Infine. It's a label created by Alexandre Kazak from Warp, and a DJ called Agoria, French DJ. So I'm doing the booking for all these guys since 3 or 4 years now. And we also manage an artist. The name is Danger. It's a local artist. I like him very much. It's a very cool guy. And we also manage, so concerning Danger, sorry, it's my partner who is in charge of his personal management. But I personally, I am becoming a manager since a few weeks because I have some friends acid washed in Berlin. They asked me to become their manager or something like two months ago. And it was a very difficult beginning because we organized a big meeting with all the partners of the band in Lyon, with the graphic designer, some guys of the label and so on. On the first night we celebrate the fact that I become their new manager. We received some SMS from all over the world saying, "Wow, cool! We saw your single on the new Puma advertising in TV, web, everywhere in 6 or 7 countries." And we were just having a dinner all together, and we received this SMS all night long from all over the world. And so we discovered that they used this advertising, and the band was not has any information on this, so it was very crazy. And I started my new job of manager with this, so it was a kind of very cool celebration to discover this strange job.
Had Puma used it without authorization?
No, there's a deal with record makers on Puma concerning a web diffusion of the song, but the band was not.
That's KTNA or record maker?
No, it's record makers. No.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Mark Cates. My company's called Fenway Recordings, and I'm based in Boston. We also have an office in New York. I've only been an artist manager for 6 years. I've been working in music for a really long time, and mostly at labels. Geffen, for the most part, Grand Royal. I also ran for 3 years, but I won't tell you all my management clients because we have I have 2 managers under me and a partner, and it's a little complicated. But the artists that you probably know the best are MGMT, Saves the Day, Mission of Burma, the Cribs, Doves, both English bands that we do in North America. Kind of the most interesting thing we're involved with now is a new band called Crosses, which is Chino Marino from the Deftones and Sean Lopez from Far, and it's there's no record label, there's no publisher, it's not really anyone's full-time anything, and the freedom that that's allowing us is really interesting and exciting. They haven't played a gig yet, but we've managed via Topspin to create quite a community to build on, and we're just trying to decide things as much based on the people that we're hearing from as what we're thinking about. And it occurred to me recently, I don't mean to dwell on this one thing, but it occurred to me recently that what we're doing or what we're trying to do is what everyone tries to do with every project these days, where you start at the beginning and say, like, we're going to make it really organic and just listen to the audience. And invariably, there are a lot of factors that make that difficult, particularly being contracted in different relationships. And you know, invariably that may change in the case of this artist, but we're really enjoying it so far, and it's nice to have really the base of those two bands to build on. If we could be doing the same thing if we didn't have that, but we wouldn't have much of a community. And I suppose that's what we're here to talk about, is when you don't have that.